Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Chiron, square opposition or inconjunct one's natal moon. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Chiron, it can be about physical and emotional wounds and suffering, depleted self-worth, self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, and also helping and healing others. Now, the thing is, when you have transit Chiron basically making an adverse aspect to the natal moon, well, it may manifest. Well, first, I'm going to be kind of rewind. I'm going to elaborate on what I mean by basically adverse aspect, okay? Now, of course, squares and oppositions in astrology, those aspects are adverse and negative. Now, when you have the inconjunct aspect, inconjuncts are neutral, but they can have good and bad qualities in them. So they also, coupled with the fact that an inconjunct aspect can often require an adjustment or a transition, and that, of course, in turn can cause some exasperation and tension. So basically, collectively, I see this as an adverse transit. Now, anyway, again, when transit Chiron basically makes an adverse aspect to one's natal moon, well, it may manifest in physical and emotional wounds and suffering, depleted self-worth and self-esteem, and helping and healing others. These things may conflict with your own emotional needs. It could be a situation too where there might be some physical suffering that is causing more, stronger emotional reactions and just emotionality in general. And it might be at a point, if you're dealing with something physically right now, at this point of this transit, you might be, emotionally, it might be more difficult to cope with it at this point in time. You might be where you're becoming more emotional regarding it, or you just might not feel like dealing with it. The moon is about our feelings. It's also about like the mood, what we feel like doing. And the thing about this too, say if the transit, Chiron is in Scorpio, it could be, some issue with the prostate, bladder, colon, the reproductive system. If it's in Sagittarius, it could be something, with the liver, the hips, the sciatic nerve. This is something too where when you have this transit, again, it might be something where it's harder to cope, with any kind of physical or emotional suffering. You just might not feel like dealing with it. But the problem is, if you have something of physical nature, maybe especially, there's no choice but to endure it and try to, do what you can to heal it. And you might feel, this time you don't really feel like, contending with it, but, it's one of those things where there's no choice, regardless of transits. But anyway, the thing about this too is that, okay, the moon is connected, with the home life, and it could be something too where, if you're trying to help and heal others somehow, showing support to somebody, it can be something where it might be difficult because home and family matters may be challenging this at the time, of this transit. It can be something too where maybe you're putting things, your own, the home and family needs, you're putting them on the back burner, so to speak, because you're trying to, help and take care of others. Or you might simply be in a situation where it's more of a challenge to be supportive of your own family at this time, to be able to do things to give them assistance, at this time. And say if the transit, Chiron is in Gemini and or the third house, it could be, simply running errands, just, making short journeys for these people, and maybe something's happened where you're a little bit at a distance, or it's not convenient for you to do so at this time. And the moon is also connected, the mother. It could be prominent females in one's life, and also just simply people that you're close to home with, so to speak. And it can be a time too where, the Chiron is about ineptitude and weakness. There might be something where you might just simply be dealing with something you feel inept in. Maybe it's causing a challenge as far as activities with the mother, people you're close to home with. It may be something too where, since the Chiron is connected with depleted self-worth and self-esteem, maybe that's factoring into doing things with the mother, the prominent females in your life scheme, and people that you're close to home with at this time. If someone's down on themselves, it could be simply that they're not up for doing things with others in this particular transit. Since we're talking about transit Chiron and the moon, it's something where with the moon, being home, family members, people you're close to home with, as some examples. And anyway, now anatomically speaking, the moon is connected with the chest, the breast, the stomach, ribs, and water retention. And it might be that if you're having any problems with these things right now at the time of this transit, they might be exacerbated, or it might be harder to deal with them. Remember that Chiron is about not just emotional wounds and suffering, but physical ones as well. Maybe the situation is because caused more trauma, more pain at this time, more so than usual. Transit Chiron right now is, at the time of this video, of course, is in Aries. So it might simply be, if you're having this transit right now, or near the time of this video, they might be more of a headache, so to speak, figuratively speaking, these issues at this time. And or if you are succumbing to some headaches, migraines, what have you, it might make it more difficult for you to deal with what I just described as anatomically connected with the moon. Now, another thing too is that this is about, the moon is also, the subconscious and the unconscious. It could be some situation too when you're just like sleeping. It could be physical trauma, may make it more difficult to do so than usual. Maybe there's something, in the subconscious, or something with the memories, even that are causing more pain, more emotional pain and suffering at this time, more so than usual. It can be something too, the moon again being connected with our emotions, that emotional reactions, might be more negative at this time, but they may be, causing you, your own, more suffering at this time. There might be greater repercussions at this time as a result of expressing them. They might cause more, injury, to someone. Generally, I would say more of an emotional type of injury, more so than physical, I would say. But again, the moon being connected with our unconscious and subconscious, there might be something, that is there that might be causing, some more suffering at this time, more so than usual. And maybe there's something you're dealing with on an unconscious level that might be preventing you, from helping others at this time if somebody's in need. Maybe it's a fear of your own self being hurt, as an example, by being used, and not getting, and basically, say, the person not calling you again, contacting you until they need your assistance again, as an example. But anyway, now another way this transit may manifest, it could be where it's difficult to help and heal others because you just may not feel like doing so at this time, might not be in that mood. Now let's say, for example, if the natal moon is in Pisces, it could be because you're simply relaxing, loafing, sleeping, meditating at this time. Another thing too is that also physical and emotional wounds, which is Chiron, may make it difficult to do things associated with your emotional needs, which is, of course, the moon. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal moon is in Aquarius, it could be doing something with astrology or astronomy, computers, electronics, innovating, meteorology, as some examples, even helping others, expressing altruism toward others. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now another thing is that another way this transit may be expressed is that there could be depleted self-esteem or self-worth, may adversely affect perhaps activities with your family at this time. Let's say, for example, if the natal moon is in Sagittarius, it could be doing things connected with adventure or exploration, sports, the outdoors, as some examples. Also, too, at the time of this transit, the pain that runs deepest, which is Chiron, may have a negative effect on your emotional, it could be your reactions at this time, which is the moon. Let's say, for example, if the natal moon is in Aries, it could be very angry, acrimonious, abrupt responses at this time. And also, too, emotional and physical issues, suffering, which is connected with Chiron. It might be maybe it's somehow exacerbating, problems, they're, again, as I stated before, things anatomically connected with the moon. The breast, the chest, the stomach, ribs, matters with water retention. It could simply being angry over something. Might make it, cause it, make you not deal with the physical suffering as easy. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.